Did you know that the Bible mentions unicorns 9 times? Yes, you heard it right, unicorns. Not your typical Sunday school lesson, is it? I'm not talking about the glittering rainbow-maned creatures you might be picturing. Biblical unicorns were a bit less sparkly, shall we say. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. In the pages of the good book, you'll also find dragons, fiery serpents, and even dudes with multiple heads. These aren't your run-of-the-mill beasts, no sir. These are the stuff of legends, myths, and believe it or not, ancient scriptures. From the depths of the sea to the heights of heaven, the Bible is teeming with creatures more fantastical than any modern-day fantasy novel. Are you intrigued yet? Because we've got a whole menagerie of mysterious creatures to explore. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the top 10 most mysterious creatures in the Bible. First up, we have the Leviathan, the original sea monster. Sorry, Nessie, you're not the first. Delving into the depths of ancient texts, we meet Leviathan, a creature that has been making waves since the dawn of biblical times. This sea beast is not your typical fish story. No, the Leviathan is a force to be reckoned with, a creature so mighty that it's been described as the king over all the children of pride. The Leviathan is mentioned several times in the Old Testament, primarily in the book of Job, and its description is nothing short of awe-inspiring. Imagine a creature so large that it coils around the deep, its body covered with shields tightly sealed together. Its sneezes flash forth light, and its eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. It exhales smoke from its nostrils like a boiling pot over burning reeds. Its breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of its mouth. This creature is not just a formidable beast, but also a symbol of chaos and evil, a metaphor for the destructive forces that threaten the world. Yet, despite its frightening image, the Leviathan is also seen as a part of God's majestic creation, a creature that shows the power and mystery of the divine. So if you ever find yourself at sea and spot a creature with glowing eyes and smoke puffing from its nostrils, you might just have met Leviathan. From the sea we now move to land with the Behemoth. This guy is so big he moves mountains just by walking. The Behemoth is a creature of immense power and size, first mentioned in the book of Job. This biblical behemoth is described as an animal that eats grass like an ox, but has bones of bronze and limbs like rods of iron. Now, can you picture that? A creature so large and strong that it's said to be unbeatable, even by the mighty river Jordan. The behemoth's tail alone is compared to a cedar, one of the largest and strongest trees known in biblical times. Imagine the sheer size and strength of this land monster. Despite its daunting physical attributes, the behemoth isn't depicted as a creature of destruction. Rather, it's seen as a symbol of God's power and the wonder of his creations. The book of Job portrays it as a creature that God takes pride in, a testament to his ability to create beings of incredible strength and magnitude. Interesting, isn't it? The behemoth, a creature of such size and power, is not a monster to be feared, but a reminder of the awe-inspiring power of creation. So if you hear a thunderous stomp and see a mountain shake, it might just be the behemoth out for a stroll. Next up, we have the cherubim. And no, they're not the chubby little angels shooting love arrows. Stepping off the pages of the good book, the cherubim are a far cry from Valentine's Day mascots. These intriguing creatures are biblical heavyweights, making their first appearance in the book of Genesis, standing guard over the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword. Quite the security detail, wouldn't you say? Now hold on to your hats, folks, because these creatures are not your garden variety angels. They're described as having 4 faces, one of a man, another of a lion, an ox, and lastly, an eagle. Talk about a serious case of identity crisis. And if you think that's wild, wait till you hear about their wings. They've got 4 of them covered with eyes. Yes, you heard that right, eyes, all over their wings. And they use these wings not just for flight, but also as a form of communication, creating sounds like rushing waters or the voice of the Almighty. It's like they're a divine radio station on wings. And let's not forget, they're the chosen ones to carry the throne of God, making them the divine Uber, if you will. So they're not just mysterious, they're VIPs in the celestial realm. So remember, if you see a creature with 4 faces and wings, it's not a hallucination, it's a cherubim. From multi-faced creatures we now move to fire-breathing ones. Meet the Seraphim, the Bible's version of a dragon. Now, before we dive in, let's clear up a common misconception. When we say Seraphim, we're not talking about the cherubic, harp-playing angels you might have pictured. No, the Seraphim are a whole different ballgame. In the biblical book of Isaiah, the Seraphim are described as celestial beings with 6 wings. 2 wings cover their faces, 2 cover their feet, and with the remaining 2, they fly. Now, if you're thinking that sounds more like a creature from a fantasy novel than a holy text, you're not alone. But here's where things get really interesting. The name Seraphim comes from the Hebrew word seraph, which means to burn. So these aren't just any angels, they're fire-breathing angels. In fact, some interpretations suggest that the Seraphim's job is to purify with their fiery breath, a little like a divine flamethrower. Their presence in the Bible serves as a reminder of the divine's power and majesty. They represent the awe-inspiring and sometimes terrifying aspects of the divine, a stark contrast to the benevolent and comforting image we often associate with angels. So, when we say fire and brimstone, we might just be talking about a seraphim's breath. Now we're about to dive into the lore of giants. We're not referring to fairy tale giants like in Jack and the Beanstalk, but rather the Nephilim, the extraordinary progenies of angels and humans. These monumental beings are some of the most mystifying entities found in biblical literature. The Bible cites the Nephilim as the progeny of celestial and human unions, renowned for their immense size, formidable strength and malevolence. Despite their fleeting mentions in religious texts, they've managed to leave a profound impact with their legendary physicality and their infamous role in precipitating moral degradation. The inception, attributes and eventual destiny of the Nephilim are perpetually contested topics among scholars and enthusiasts alike. So, if you ever find yourself feeling insignificant, bear in mind, you might just be in the towering presence of a Nephilim. As we delve into the eerie writings of apocalyptic texts, our focus is drawn to a particular celestial creature, the Ziz, a gigantic bird, from Jewish folklore akin to a griffin. Its size is so immense that it's believed its wings alone can eclipse the sun. An image to make the spine tingle, wouldn't you say? This mighty creature, the Ziz, is mentioned a few times in the Bible, notably in the book of Psalms, where its large appetite for wild boar is detailed. Reported to be circling God's throne, this creature is enveloped in eyes front and back, a feature as baffling as it is mesmerizing. Unlike its counterparts, the land monster Behemoth and the sea monster Leviathan, the Ziz amalgamates characteristics of multiple entities. It reflects the attributes of a lion and an eagle, regal and sturdy, symbolizing strength and courage. Each feather of the Ziz exhibits 6 eyes blanketed with eyes on both external and internal surfaces. It ceaselessly praises the Almighty, continuously iterating, "Holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come." This declaration is central to its existence, God-centric. The Ziz represents a mirror of God's qualities, his omnipotence, omnipresence and omniscience. It's more than a mere observer, it actively participates in the divine plan. The power and dignity of the Ziz each reflect aspects of God's character. It encapsulates the grandeur and enigma of the divine, underscoring the awe-striking complexity of the Creator. The Ziz of Revelation isn't merely a mythical creature in an apocalyptic story, it is a symbol that unfolds the multidimensional nature of God and his celestial blueprint. Its presence in the book of Revelation complements the biblical narrative with a sense of mystery and charm. So if you ever see a giant bird blocking out the sun, might just be looking at Ziz, a wonder straight from the book of Revelation. Still in Revelation, we have locusts. But these aren't your garden variety pests. These guys have human faces and scorpion tails. Now, picture this. A swarm of locusts. Not just any locusts, but ones with human faces and scorpion tails. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, right? Well, these creatures make their grand appearance in the book of Revelation, a book known for its vivid and often mystifying imagery. In Revelation chapter 9, the 5th angel sounds his trumpet, and a star falls from heaven to earth. This star is given a key to the bottomless pit, and upon opening it, smoke arises, and out come these peculiar locusts. These aren't your typical crop-destroying insects. No, these locusts are given power, much like scorpions of the earth have power. They're instructed not to harm the grass or any green thing or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. Their appearance is described as being like horses prepared for battle with crowns of gold. Faces like human faces, hair like women's hair, and teeth like lions' teeth. These locusts serve as a symbol of the torment and destruction that comes during the end times according to the apocalyptic vision of Revelation. Their bizarre description and purpose have captivated and puzzled readers for centuries. So if you see a swarm of locusts with human faces, it might be time to run. Next on our biblical exploration, we traverse the deep seas to meet Tannin, the sea monster. This legendary creature makes its splash in the sacred pages of the Holy Bible. Tannin is the Hebrew term for a monstrous sea creature, a dragon or a serpent, appearing numerous times in the Old Testament. Now, this isn't your typical sea-dwelling being. Tannin is said to symbolize chaos and destruction, a formidable force of nature that even the mightiest would fear. It's a recurring figure in biblical prophecies where it often symbolizes powerful and tyrannical entities. It's the embodiment of evil, chaos, and turmoil, a representation of gigantic forces that divine intervention could subdue. In Genesis, Tannin is among the creatures created by God. In several other scriptures, it's depicted as the monstrous adversary that God defeats, showcasing divine power and authority. Its appearances in the book of Job and the Psalms further cement its role as an emblem of chaos and evil, often defeated or controlled by God. It's fascinating, isn't it, how a sea creature can be imbued with much symbolic meaning and narrative weight. Now here's a final thought to mull over. Could Tannin, the sea monster of the Bible, have been inspired by actual sea creatures of the ancient world? Or is it purely a product of spiritual symbolism and myth? So, the next time you hear tales of sea beasts, remember the original sea monster, Tannin, from the Bible. So, after traversing through all these intriguing mythical beings, you might find yourself pondering, what do these creatures signify really? There are a multitude of theories in existence. Some scholars perceive these creatures as real entities, dwelling in a spiritual realm that's beyond our understanding. They argue that biblical authors depicted what they saw in visions or dreams, deploying their human language to articulate divine, supernatural realities. Conversely, there are those who perceive these creatures as purely symbolic, symbolizing various facets of human nature or spiritual truths. For instance, the four living creatures of Revelation could be a representation of the four cardinal virtues: prudence, justice, courage, and moderation. There are also those who interpret these creatures as metaphors, created to convey multifaceted ideas in a vibrant, enduring manner. This viewpoint perceives the Bible as a diverse patchwork of myth, folklore, and allegory. So, when you immerse yourself in Bible next time, keep in mind it's not just a sacred scripture, but also a riveting journey into the realm of most enigmatic creatures.